Hello all. Today is the day that we get a Bernie Sanders update. And the reason I'm doing this isn't to cause gastritis in my stomach, which it does whenever I bring up politics anymore. I don't know why. But let's go over to the board and let's start looking at what is and not what is you wish it would be. In other words, you project what you think this person's going to be like instead of looking at the actual record and his history. But here at Pink Barrio, we look at the history and we look at what is. And Bernie Sanders is what he is. And this is what I have found out he is. So just some of the latest news is that Sanders said nothing about the Democratic officials who approved switching Flint water from a clean source of water over to the polluted Flint River. He never said a word about it. So when Bernie Sanders joined the Democratic Party, they told him to shut up and don't worry about the Flint water situation. I like to know what is, and that's what is. He has said nothing. Nothing has been done. His Democratic Party made the decision to switch the water and have taken no steps really at all, other than a piddly amount of money being given to Flint to supply some of the residents with bottled water. That's not an answer. They're taking showers in polluted, lead-infested, funky water, which cannot be fixed without over $1 billion. And of course Obama hasn't said anything about repairing any of the problems that his Democratic Party decision makers made. So that's the first thing. But let's go do a little history on Bernie Sanders and find out who he really is. Little ride today. Very hot. Yesterday was in the 80s. Today's supposed to be in the high 80s. Another miserable winter's day here in California. But look at this scumbag. Yeah, some scumbag threw his water bottle, or their water bottle, in the woods, thinking it would just go away. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Bernie Sanders and what he did today. As of the time of the shooting of this video, he praised Scalia, who is the Supreme Court judge who died the other day. The most right-wing, rabid, horrible Supreme Court justice we've ever had. He was the worst. Look at his record. You know, just terrible. But yet Bernie, the appeaser, appeased the right wing by saying that he was a brilliant man. Really? How could you say that, Bernie? He was he's right there with Hitler. He's one of the crime family. So Bernie Sanders loves to appease whoever is watching him, apparently. Just like Obama did. His campaign is already the same as Obama, almost word for word. And, you know, things you can believe in and all this crap and change and so on. And no change ever came from Obama. Just more of the war same. The same will go for Bernie Sanders. When he gets his instructions if he was to win, and he got his instructions from the Democrats, he would continue the wars. Apparently now we're talking about going to war with Turkey and Russia and all these other places. I don't hear a word about this from Bernie Sanders. He just doesn't, he's just appeasing everybody. He's no more left than he is right. He's just the middle of the roader, sheeple type person, and he'll do whatever the D's tell him to do if he was to get in. Now the Tower of Truth said that Jeb Bush will get in. And the way that would happen is if Bernie was completely thrown away by the Democrats, Hillary was to get in, you'd have a split in the Democrats. Some would go here, some would go there, and then Jeb Bush wins it. I don't know how anybody could vote for a Hillary Clinton, Jeb Bush, or any of the other scumbag DNRs you see on the ballot. I personally think you have to stick with your convictions. If you're on the left, stick to the left. If you're on the right, stick to the right. And don't forget, the people on the left tend to make everybody work. You know, we don't just take from from the left. We take from everywhere and use it to our advantage. We don't just sit there and stick in a little groove. So many think that Sanders is a peace person that doesn't believe in war. Well, his record proves just the opposite. Let's go to the Kosovo War back when Clinton was in office and he just got into the Senate. He has voted for, well, let's go over to the board. So when Clinton was in office, Sanders became a senator in the U.S. He immediately voted for supporting Clinton to bomb Kosovo. When Kosovo got bombed, 300 people died, and his key advisor resigned because of his support of Clinton's war on Kosovo. See, this is what I mean. You get projections that he's something that he really isn't. Let's go look at some more history on Bernie Sanders. So Sanders also voted for and was part of giving permission for George Bush to invade Afghanistan and begin the war on terror. Sanders also voted to fund the ongoing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. You see what I mean by that you have to do your research on these candidates because they're not who you think they are. Let's talk about immigration here in the U.S. Obama's immigration policies are as bad as the Republican right-wingers. You know, the wall against us, against the Mexicans and all this stuff. We have to divide. Remember, we must always divide. You know, Jill Stein, if you look at what she believes in, you won't find the support for any war at all. She actually believes in diplomacy and actually working with each other and stop pressing the U.S. as the world police person. We're not the police of the world, though Bernie Sanders seems to think so. He approves everything that Obama does. He said he supports Obama. Well, if he supports Obama, he's an extreme warmonger. How could you support Obama? What has Obama done that means that you need to support him? You say, well, if Bernie doesn't win, then Clinton wins. It does not matter. It's the Democrats that win. The Democrats are what the Democratic Party tells the candidates or the president what to do. They're the ones in charge. You can tell by Bernie Sanders' slogans. They're exactly the same as Obama's slogans. Let's go over to the board and look about what Bernie Sanders thinks about NSA spying on USans. So Sanders co-sponsored the USA Freedom Act, where NSA is allowed to spy on USans without warrants and is completely against the US Constitution. So one thing that always comes up when we have one of these political discussions on here is who are you voting for? I mean, I have been in politics since Goldwater days, Nixon days. We were trying to get Goldwater in instead of Nixon. I was in my freshman year of high school back, and we had a sort of an election of our own, and Goldwater ended up winning at that time in our high school, but Nixon ended up winning in the real election. It was kind of interesting. So I mean, I have been in politics ever since then. I was just thrilled with it at that time because then it was a lot more honest than it is now. And you had a lot better candidates back then. You had real progressives and people that wanted to help each other and make people, have equal rights and all this. And now, and so over the years I've seen time and time again bad candidates come up and the sheeple get caught up in the slogans, hope and change and believe in and all this crap. And they want to feel good, so that's all that is feel good stuff. But so I get asked, who are you voting for? Okay, well, to be honest with you, if I was to vote, it'd be for Jill Stein. Am I real happy with Jill Stein? Boy, lately not. I haven't heard a word from her. I can't even, she's basically gone into the woodwork. What is she going to tell us? To vote for Bernie and not her again, like she did Obama? See, I have some problems with Jill Stein, but her record, her agenda is far closer to my own agenda than Bernie Sanders will ever be. Bernie Sanders is just, he's a peaser, man. That's all I can say. I wanted to show you this. We're down in a valley, and this tree got struck by lightning apparently just in the last couple of years. But look at this market left on it. So since there is somebody better than the Democrats or the Republicans, why would you support NSA spying by voting for Bernie Sanders? Why would you vote for continued war with Bernie Sanders? He says one thing, but his record shows something different than he really is. That's the same thing that happened with Obama, right? hope and change we can believe in. And of course, now his new one, a future to believe in. How's that any different than the recycled garbage we heard from Obama? And we're all so disappointed with Obama. I'm telling you, Jill Stein, I will not vote for a Democrat or a Republican, period. That's voting for corruption and voting the same stuff that's happening now, which is killing our planet and starting World War III. What we need is something different. How different? If I was to vote, I would vote for Jill Stein. Look at her record. I've got a link down below, and you'll see what I mean. There's a big difference. So, now that I've got gastritis and have a headache and all this, talking about this stuff just makes me want to throw up, honestly. So I appreciate all the comments on the last videos, and the ups and the downs and the new subscribers, and until next time on this hot California day.